42 days into the government shutdown, there seems to be no end in sight. We go to Karen Kaifa for more.
House and Senate leaders pushing legislation to reopen the government. Neither bill likely to get it done.
We want the Republicans to take yes for an answer for bills that they have led the way on and negotiated in order to open up government.
Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell moving a version of President Trump's weekend proposal that includes $5.7 billion for the border wall and 3 years of protection for 700,000 undocumented immigrants who arrived in the U.S. as children, an extension of the Obama-era DACA program Trump seeks to end.
To reject this proposal, Democrats would have to prioritize political combat with the president ahead of federal workers, ahead of DACA recipients, ahead of border security.
But Democrats have deemed it a non-starter. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi plans to move a package of bills to reopen most shuttered federal agencies plus $1 billion in border security funding, but not the president's wall. 5 weeks in, many of the 800,000 government employees caught in the middle face tough financial choices, like Francis Nichols, a pretrial services officer working without pay.
I haven't had a full tank of gas since probably the shutdown. I've been putting in only what I need to make sure that I can have food.
Federal workers are slated to miss another paycheck on Friday. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
With presidential elections on the horizon in 2020, the Democrats are off to an interesting start by apologizing. Jeff Zeleny has more.
Before presidential candidates say I'm running, this year they're saying I'm sorry.
I haven't always been right.
I was wrong to feel that way.
I apologize.
Democrats eyeing the White House are delivering one mea culpa after another, scrambling to align their positions with the party's shift to the left. Joe Biden is the latest to join the apology tour, now saying he regrets that the 1994 crime bill led to an era of mass incarceration through vastly tougher sentencing laws for those selling crack cocaine.
It was a big mistake when it was made, but it's trapped an entire generation.
But 25 years ago, Biden not only voted for the bill, he was right here in the Rose Garden as President Clinton signed the new law. And until recently, Biden has proudly taken ownership.
I wrote the Biden crime bill, the thing to put 100,000 cops in the street.
Meanwhile, Kirsten Gillibrand has been trying to explain her dramatic political shift from a moderate Democratic congresswoman from upstate New York to a liberal senator. She once described herself as a firm opponent for giving amnesty to illegal aliens. She also said English should be the official language of the United States.
They certainly weren't empathetic and they were not kind, and I did not think about suffering in other people's lives.
While cleanups are common in presidential races,
I'm sorry for the consequences that were unintended and that have had a very unfortunate impact on people's lives.
This year's string of confessionals is coming earlier than usual, as candidates try to clarify their views before hitting the campaign trail. Hillary Clinton's often tortured apologies.
I take responsibility. What I did was legally permitted. Number one, first and foremost, okay?
Offer a case study for 2020 and a lesson that an apology must be seen as authentic to be accepted. Democrats do not have the luxury of holding firm like President Trump, who famously almost never expresses regret.
I may stand before you in 6 months and say, hey, I was wrong. I don't know that I'll ever admit that, but I'll find some kind of an excuse.
Before Bernie Sanders decides whether to run again, he is apologizing for sexual harassment of female staffers inside his 2016 campaign.
To the women in our campaign who were harassed or mistreated, I apologize.
And Tulsi Gabbard is expressing regret for what she now calls offensive comments about same-sex marriage.
I sincerely repeat my apology today. I'm deeply sorry for having said them.
While Kamala Harris is stopping well short of apologizing, she's defending her record as a prosecutor that some activists see as being pro-law enforcement at the expense of civil rights.
The buck stops with me, and I take full responsibility for what my office did.
But it's Biden's new apologies that raise questions about how many more times he may have to say I'm sorry.
Did you swear to tell the whole truth?
Considering his long Senate record, including controversial moments like Anita Hill's testimony at the Clarence Thomas confirmation hearings.
I am so sorry that she had to go through what she went through.
Paul Whalen, a former U.S. Marine, was detained in Moscow at the end of December on suspicion of being a spy. On Tuesday, the lawyer for Whalen said that his client was given a flash drive that contained Russian state secrets, though he did not know what was on the flash drive. Whalen also made his first public appearance in court since his arrest, where the judge ordered him to be kept behind bars at least until the end of February. Paul's twin brother David Whalen said that the family was disappointed but hardly surprised at the denial of bail. While the rest of his family insists he was entrapped there only to attend a wedding, David Whalen also said that Russian authorities did not allow British diplomats to visit his brother in prison, and the U.S. consular's cancellation did raise concern. He did note that Canadian diplomats were scheduled to visit on Thursday.
In a 5-4 decision Tuesday, the Supreme Court decided to let the transgender military ban go into effect. Camila Bernal has more on the topic.
The Supreme Court allowing President Donald Trump's transgender military ban to go into effect. The 5-4 decision was not based on the merits of the case, but instead will allow the ban to go forward while the lower courts decide. The policy was first announced by the president via Twitter in 2017.
Right now, we have people who cannot serve in the military with asthma or with flat feet. So why would we allow individuals to come in, although they're very patriotic and we appreciate their desire to serve, but who have these medical issues that could be very, very costly?
At the time, LGBTQ activists protested.
Trans people serve. Twitler did it.
The policy focuses on a condition known as gender dysphoria, which is a conflict between a person's assigned sex and the gender they identify with. Most people diagnosed with the condition wouldn't be allowed to serve. Those without the condition can serve, but only if they do so according to the sex they were assigned at birth.
Implementing a ban again will not stop Americans from wanting to serve their country, and some of those Americans happen to be transgender.
After the court announced its decision, the Pentagon clarified its policy is not a ban on all transgender people and said they treat all transgender persons with respect and dignity. In Washington, I'm Camila Bernal reporting.
On Friday, the 18th of January, the internet caught fire over this single image. The two in the photo are Nick Sandman, a student of Covington Catholic High School, and a member of the Omaha tribe, and Vietnam War-era veteran Nathan Phillips. In the original video clip, you can see what appears to be the students of the Catholic school surrounding Phillips and mocking his chant. Sandman stood smiling at Phillips, thus creating the image that took the internet by storm. This video was also shared and broadcast by almost all prominent news sources. Phillips had an interview with the MSNBC where he claimed the initial group was only 6 students, and as they left and returned, their group became larger. He also said that the students surrounded these black guys. The group that Phillips was referring to was another protest group, the Black Israelites. This caused an outrage among people on the right and left, calling the act of the students disgraceful, racist, and hateful. In the following days, a new video surfaced, recorded by the Black Israelites, that shows a different story than the news outlets shared. The new video shows the Black Israelites and Native Americans were already heated with each other before the students arrived. After this, the rhetoric began to escalate toward the students when the Black Israelites started calling the students homophobic slurs, incest babies, dusty crackers, and future school shooters. After about 20 minutes of this, the students, according to Sandman, asked the teachers if they could combat the hate with their school chants. Tensions continued to escalate until Phillips approached the students, playing his drum and saying his prayer. This video contradicts the statements that he made to MSNBC, where he said that the students surrounded him and blocked his way to the Lincoln Memorial. With this new information, it becomes hard to say who is at fault for the situation. However, lines were already drawn. Those who are against the kids have taken to doxing the minors, revealing their identities, which lead them to receiving threats of violence. Covington had to shut down school and cancel a basketball game due to threats of a bombing. Also, another minor was caught in the crosshairs for looking like Sandman and received threats as well. This situation shows the importance of journalists and the public waiting for the full story before coming to a conclusion.